Now, there is no doubt about it that most people will agree that The View is by far the worst program on live television because of how vile it really is. Going by the hosts of The View, Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and Joy Behar, saying such nonsense out there and spewing such lies. We all know that the Walt Disney Company entertains this idea and only actually reverses action when they're actually exposed and caught in the middle of it all. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, between their Charlie Kirk comments, both on and off air, as well as the moment that they actually swore at a live audience behind the scenes for during a Q&A session and how that got the host of The View in deep trouble, that led to a suspension of multiple episodes throughout this month of November, leading into the early days of December. What's interesting here, though, has a lot to do with the fact of what the Walt Disney Company and ABC did toward those like Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, and Whoopi Goldberg over what they did in the past few weeks. Now, we know one thing about Joy Behar, for example, is that she can get very defensive. She can get very much, erratic, if you will, when it comes to her behavior, getting very angry toward not just ABC executives and producers, but toward the up and up, right, over at Disney, like Bob Iger, the top executives over there as well. What's interesting, though, about all of this has a lot more to do with what The View recently went through when it comes to the hosts of the program. Now, we know one thing about Sunny Hostin in particular is that she really never takes no for an answer. She will fight time and time again to get things done her way or the highway. Now, we know one thing about this as well, is that with many of those in the media still to this day using this Charlie Kirk assassination as a way to push their hate for President Trump and his supporters to the public, one significant development that is now active involves more to do with the hosts of The View, who recently met some serious consequences after they not only mocked Charlie Kirk, both on and off air at times, by politicizing the situation, but also swore at a live audience, like I mentioned before, during a Q&A session for one of their recent tapings. Now, one crucial update to this entire situation now involves how ABC executives and producers were told from the up and up over at the Walt Disney Company to ban the hosts of The View, get this, from their annual coverage of the Disney Parks Magical Christmas Day Parade that was originally going to involve a major segment featuring Sunny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, and Joy Behar at a table, that will now no longer be attending the event and are officially banned from taking part in a hosting segment for that program. For that holiday program. This comes as a direct order from Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, who made the final decision to ban the hosts of The View from the holiday program, where portions of it were also going to be pre-taped material during this month, November, to air in December. Now, this decision by Bob Iger was mainly driven by Sunny Hostin's comments, both on air and off air, and what she did behind the scenes in regards to the live audience Q&A session. And this is said to be a form of damage control coming from Bob Iger after not only allowing this behavior to happen in the first place, but also after he disappointed longtime investors after multiple box office failures and canceled projects. Now, guys, let me just stop right there for a moment. This is exactly why I say that Bob Iger is not to be trusted. He's a very unorganized CEO, a liar of a CEO. That's why I, along with many others, call him Bob Liger. Bob Iger, alright, will only actually course correct, temporarily speaking, of course, when he's actually caught in the middle of doing something, and how so many people actually see it, and it gets exposed. That's the only time that Bob Iger ever does some kind of positive action or, says something different. Now, with Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny officially banned from taking part in what was planned to be an in-depth 10 to 15 minute segment on the Christmas program, where they were going to be putting out votes of the best Christmas/holiday songs of 2025, and more, already Sunny Hostin reportedly had a major fit with the Disney CEO Bob Iger and the top Disney executives for making this ban possible. Already the hosts of The View are said to be replaced by ABC's Jimmy Kimmel and two others to take over that segment. Though that decision with Kimmel is not yet finalized, it is in the talks, and that is the current development right now for the Disney Christmas Parade special coverage. In addition to this, Joy Behar is already striking back at Disney, where she reportedly demanded her team to have a very serious conversation with Bob Iger and the higher-ups at Disney to reinstate her position for the Christmas Parade special. However, all bets are off, and Joy Behar is having a serious issue accepting what happened to her in most recent. Now, we know one thing about this. Let me just stop right here yet again. We know another thing about Joy Behar is that she, much like Sunny Hostin, will never take no for an answer. She will actually make a lot of warnings, legal warnings, if you will, toward her higher-ups, I should say, when it comes to them making these direct and bold calls and decisions to just get rid of the host of The View from making a appearance at this, Christmas Parade special for the Walt Disney Company. Now look, I know that there's a lot of backlash going on toward The View based on what they said in the most recent years. I would definitely say within the past 4 to 5 years, give or take. There's been a lot of things going on with The View. They've been going up and down with their ratings. In fact, it has been a ratings roller coaster, right? One day they're sharply down, one other day they're sharply going up a little bit, and then it just tanks from there. And so Bob Iger really just views The View, no pun intended, as a very unpredictable program right now. Because a lot of people, even their own fans of The View, are tuning out, they're walking away from this program, and their ratings are diminishing now on average. So, in addition to this, the hosts of The View have discussed taking a legal route against the Walt Disney Company as they believe their ban over their interaction with an audience was blown out of proportion. And again, this is all in regards to what they actually did during that Q&A session where they dropped multiple F-bombs, where they were actually questioned some personal questions or, a question from the live audience about how they feel, people like Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters and other people a part of different forms of media actually making jokes about them. And they were very offended by that, and they actually did take a couple of jabs back at the live audience, and ABC wasn't too happy about that at all, because through word of mouth, it really did backfire on The View, and they're losing actual attendees visiting The View. Again, much like all these morning and late night television programs, these tickets are free, by the way. You can go to any of them at any time that you want. You can select your own date. You may have to wait a couple of weeks until you can get a date, but they're free nonetheless. You do have to arrive there quite early, but all these programs that are associated with ABC, in particular The View, they are losing attendees at a dramatic level. Now, we know one thing about this as well, that the whole Christmas Parade special for Disney, I really am very interested to see what the ratings are going to look like for, this actual parade special this year in 2025. We'll hear more about that actual ratings toward the end of December. And I think it's going to be a very interesting moment to see where Disney is at right now toward the tail end of 2025. Because let's face it, they have a lot of box office failures on their hands, a lot of ratings disasters on their hands when it comes to Disney Plus material and televised material. But regardless of that, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.